Welcome to Beyond Beauty, the Professional Beauty Association's podcast, where we take a deeper look inside the minds and hearts of the amazing artists in our professional beauty industry, and truly how you're making a huge impact in the lives of so many. Our guest today, I am so excited, is Rodrick Samuels, barber, educator, barber school owner, and most recently 2022 NAHA co-host. So I am super, super pumped to get into all of this with you and really get into the Beyond Beauty. So if you could, for a minute, if you could talk about how did you choose this career path? What led you to this?
You know what? So it's a lot of things, but I want to say hello to everyone wherever you are. I hope everybody is well. We just over here blessed and having a good time in the best industry in the world, the personal appearance industry. My name is Rodrick Samuels, and Leslie, thank you so much for my wonderful introduction. Normally, a lot of people don't have very good and nice things to say about me. So this makes my day really, really great. So to answer your question, my journey in the beauty and wellness business actually came from failure. When I graduated high school, I was a highly recruited wrestler coming out of high school. And of course, my grades didn't amount up to what my goals were at the time. So needless to say, I kind of came into the industry based on failure. My grades weren't good in college, and my mom came and picked me up from school. And she said, well, you can't stay in my house and not do anything. So my sister made a suggestion. She said, do you like cutting hair? And I was like, yeah. She's like, you ever thought about doing it as a career? I'm like, no, and I wanted to be believe this or not, I went to college to be an early childhood education teacher, right? Mr. Roddy loved the kids. I went and I did an apprenticeship. And 26 years later, here I am today. So sometimes I think it's important to not recognize failures as a bad thing. Sometimes you can build off of those failures to really kind of get along to where you need to be in life. So that's my story, and I'm really, really happy that it happened that way. Had it gone a different direction, I wouldn't be the man that I am today. I wouldn't be the dad that I am today. But also I wouldn't be the educator and be so passionate about education without having those temporary speed bumps in my life. So yeah, I'm here now and loving every day of it.
Well, and it's interesting. You said that you initially went for early childhood education, and here you are, you find yourself not in early childhood education, but still in education. So it all kind of came full circle.
Absolutely. My mom, God rest her soul, she was a public school teacher for 33 plus years. And at the time when I was considering a career, I was like, you know what? My mom has like 3 months off during the summer. At that time I was single, and I was like, oh snap. Yeah, I can definitely do this. 3 months off, paid, single man, living my life. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? Sometimes the universe has a different path for us. And I think it's important for us not to just listen with our ears, but to listen with our heart too. Sometimes the path that we think that we're on is not the right path, and the universe will help to steer and guide it and navigate us through to where our true purpose is. So this is where I'm supposed to be at this very moment with everybody that's listening right now. So I'm happy to be a part of it.
How did you find that though? If you found barber, you liked cutting hair, you did an apprenticeship, but how did the staying power for 26 plus years? You have to have more than just like cutting hair.
You know what? Yeah. You know what? I like people, and we've said this in several conversations when we speak to the PBA Beacon students. We're not in the hair business; we're in the people business. And for me, it's very important for me to leave something behind based on my experiences in the past, 26 years. How can I pay this forward? How can I allow and let people know like how important this industry is and why it's so inspirational to me? educating myself, reading, taking classes, even at, where I am in my career, I still take classes. I'm still a lifelong learner, for lack of a better word right now. So yeah, just staying inspired, staying motivated, staying focused. I like to read. My students actually motivate me and inspire me a lot. I like when I get brand new students, eyes wide shut, right, coming into the industry and they're hungry. So that, every time that we have a class that's enrolled, it actually refuels me again, because I know that my job hasn't ended yet. I still have more work to do. And as long as I have breath in my body, that's also a big indicator to me that, I still have work to do. So, to be the best, you must stand the test. For hard work, and only hard work pays off. So I make an effort every day, 150%, to really, really, really work hard, but also, to use the people that are around me and the things that are around me to continue to motivate and inspire me on a daily basis.
And, this podcast is about beyond the beauty, because a lot of us are attracted to the industry because we like to cut hair, or we like to put makeup on people or make people feel good. But can you tell a time or multiple times when for you, it really is life-changing, either for yourself or for a client or a student? I'm sure there has to be multiple that are going through your mind.
Yeah, there's been a lot of amazing times in my career where I really, really felt like, what, this is it. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. A lot of people don't really know the story behind my wife and I, Lauren. Of course, she's a 4-time NAHA finalist. She's a 2-time winner. And we actually met through hair. There was a class that I was teaching at the time, and she wanted to train her staff in it. So this industry it has so many different layers. You could meet the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. You can shape heads and shape lives. And, us meeting through hair and continuing our journey. And, she's a super hard worker. She motivates me intrinsically. And I think that a lot of times it's hard to find people who really kind of reinstate this fire inside of you from the inside. But us, continue our relationship. We got engaged at a hair show. We were in London, England. I proposed to her. We got married at a hair show. It was the year of 2017 when I was nominated for Men's Hairstylist of the Year. And, it's just been a really, really beautiful time for I can't speak for her. She might be on another time, but for myself personally, and I share this all the time. She is definitely someone who changed my life. She's been very gracious in helping me to pursue my own personal dreams while also pursuing our own dreams. I think it's important for a lot of our listeners to understand that, especially relationally, you know what I mean? Like, you can be independent and submissive in a relationship, and just because you get married or have children or this is maybe the beauty industry is a second career for you, that does not mean that you can't be successful and still have those same dreams and hopes every day. I think the most important thing to do is, stay focused, stay positive, having a positive mental attitude, and grouping yourselves around like-minded people. If people in your circle aren't pursuing their own dreams, they will not help you to pursue yours. So if I could just kind of put that out there for the people that are listening, always make sure to think about you and your career as currency. It may not make sense right now, but think about it as a currency. How are you spending your time? Like, if we think about, we always say time is money, and that's true. But think about your life and your career as a currency. How are you spending time? Who are you spending that time with? Is there a return on that investment? You know what I mean? So I hope that this will help to challenge some of the listeners, but also encourage them to find their tribe. Your vibe attracts your tribe. And I've been fortunate and lucky to have Lauren with me through ups and downs, thick and thin. We've traveled to Japan. We've traveled to London, teaching and educating and sharing our love and passion for the industry. So behind everything else, I think that good working relationships, is definitely key to really being successful in our industry.
For sure. And how do you handle those difficult relationships, or maybe even with a client, or that you're like, oh, I see that client in my books and that's not what I wanted it to be. How do you
Yeah.
get yourself out of that and continue to grow and be positive?
For sure. I think to handle difficult situations, I just first thing that kind of came to my mind, when we were at the North American Hairstyling Awards this year, we were having dinner and Eric Fisher stopped by our table. And he said he was just kind of mentioning about people and being in the people business. He always quotes this. He said, solve their problems and be their friends. And I think that that's something that we can all learn from. Sometimes when you're faced with a difficult client or a difficult relationship, I think it's really important to handle these things aggressively. Don't wait. It'll linger. It'll turn into something else. My dad would always, I'm from South Carolina, and my dad has all these like old school analogies, but he'll say, if you stir an old poop, it just gets stinker, right? So, so
Very
you
true.
you don't want it to get old. You know what I'm saying? You don't want it. You want to handle it. You want to handle your poop right then and there, and make sure that it doesn't boil over to get to something else. Because of course we know that bad news travels very, very quickly. Good news travels slow. So we always want to focus on, it's not about who's right, it's about what's right. And as long as we continue to do what's right and help people out, be aggressive in solving those problems and being their friends, I think that everybody will be just fine.
What advice would you give to your younger self now that you've kind of been here for 20 plus years and know what the path is? And I know we all wish, if I could go back with all of this knowledge, but
Sure.
if you could.
Younger Rodrick Samuels older Rodrick Samuels would tell younger Rodrick Samuels to, I think I would tell myself to be encouraged. I think I would tell myself to make decisions and not suggestions. I think I would tell
Talk
younger
more
Rodrick.
about that. I don't want to interrupt, but talk more about that. Because that
A lot of times when people are faced with something, they like to make suggestions. Oh, well, I think this will work, because they don't want to hold themselves accountable. And I was that person. I would be like, yeah, well, maybe we should try this. But I only said that in hopes that if it didn't work out, then I wouldn't be
I'm
the
not
person,
blamed.
You know what? I'm a Libra. We don't like when people are mad at us. You know what I'm saying? So what it did was it kind of held me back from being that person and making those hard decisions and standing by my word and solving people's problems and being their friends. I think that in leadership, you have to be very, very very diligent and strategic in how you deal with people, how you deal with problems, because it's never the problem. It's always how you deal with it. So when you make a decision, you stick by that decision and you make it happen, and regardless of how hard it is, and a lot of times, it hurts people's feelings, but you got to stay steadfast and you got to be strong in that. So I would 100% tell younger Rodrick Samuels to always, trust your gut, make those decisions, and stop making suggestions, because you don't get anywhere like that.
That's awesome. And that's great advice. I mean, for all of us, honestly.
Thank you.
And what keeps you inspired to keep going now? And what are you working toward for the future, Rodrick?
You know what? One thing that's kind of like inspiring me right now is music. Like, I love rap music. I love hip hop. My students always have the new and latest and greatest in music and stuff like that. And normally, even when we do like photo shoots and prepping for NAHA, whatever the case may be, I always have to have some really, really good music to kind of get me going and get my juices flowing. And I can't dance. My wife always said, "You don't dance with me, you dance at me." Like I'm in a dance battle or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I've always said that I dance like Elaine from Psych, and I totally do, and I own it, and I just own that. But
well, see, you made a decision. You didn't make a suggestion.
I made a decision. Right? I'm just gonna dance like that.
For sure. So music inspires me. There's so many talented young artists out there my students inspire me. My mentors inspire me. Sometimes I'll get those phone calls from the people who had a really, really big stake in my life, and they were like, "Yo, man, you kind of quiet. What's going on? Either you working on something or something's working on you." You know what I mean? So, so getting those text messages and phone calls, people who genuinely care about my success, those are the things that kind of keep me inspired. And of course, just teaching, being able to take my experiences, and not just from the beauty and wellness business and barber business, but my life experiences. I lost my mom at a young age. Through the periods of, the pandemic, losing loved ones and stuff like that. It's been tough, but, it's always going to be better at the end of it. And I know, it may not seem like that right now because you're going through it, right? But through every trial, there's always going to be revelation. So as you're going through your journey and you hit a stumbling block or a roadblock, just know it's not a breakup, it's a wake up, right? So sometimes, you walking in your room and the room is dark and you stub your toe. That's not a breakup, it's a wake up, right? Turn the light on so you can see. So I think I want to encourage everybody that's listening, turn the light on so you can see. It's going to be okay. And I'm not telling you what I heard, I'm telling you what I know. I'm coming up on 45 years being on this great earth, and I can honestly say that I probably wouldn't do it any different. I appreciate the hard times because it makes me appreciate good times when we are champions, and when we do get that recognition and from our peers, and even getting a phone call from my dad, he's 74, it's saying, "Hey man, I'm proud of you because we almost wrote you off." We didn't know what you was going to do. We didn't know if you was going to make it. You know what I mean? But for him to see me now, and knowing that regardless of how much hell I gave my parents at a younger age, they never stopped loving me, and the product they get to see right now, it makes them feel worth like it was worth all the headaches and the trouble. So keep on keeping on.
Well, I imagine that everything that brought you to this point helps you, and I think you said earlier, it helps you relate to your students, to your clients, to others in the industry. And is that your superpower, or do you have another superpower that you haven't alluded to just yet?
You know what? If I had to point out something that I really, really like about myself, I like the fact that I'm very driven. Sometimes I've been called overly persistent. But I think at the end of the day, when you have a goal in mind, and when you let's say it's you want to be a 6-figure barber or a 6-figure stylist, that didn't come easy. It comes with hard work, it comes with dedication, it comes with it comes with being personable and having a good attitude. It helps to open up and become a people person. And I tell my students all the time, people don't know what you don't know. So I think that I do a very good job in explaining to people why being in this industry is so powerful and so important to me. I think I do a good job in motivating people to do things that they probably didn't even know that they had the power to do within their lives and their careers. I've made a living by empowering people to give them that force and that power to be amazing and to be great, but not only just for everybody else, but for themselves. You know what I mean? You, regardless of what anybody says about you, you have to do what makes you happy on the inside. And I'll challenge all of your listeners. If you're doing something and it doesn't make you happy, I would 100% reevaluate why I'm doing what I'm doing. And, your own worst enemy is you. So you have to sometimes take a look in the mirror and be like, okay, Rodrick, WTF, like, you're better than this. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's go. Like, I give myself these motivational talks all the time on my drive, on my commute to work. Sometimes when I'm in the classroom by myself, if I'm in the school by myself, early mornings, I really kind of prep myself mentally for whatever could happen throughout the day. That way, if something does happen, I'm not sideswiped by it, and it doesn't steal my joy for the day. So yeah, I would just stay focused, stay positive, and just know that, you know, everything, all the work that you're putting in right now, all of the hardships and victories you had, it's all going to pay off at the end. And again, for somebody who's been doing this for a very long time, and not making any excuses whatsoever, it is worth it. And you'll see it at the end of the day. All your hard work and dedication to this craft and this industry is going to pay off for you.
So what are your hopes, dreams for the industry?
I've been working a lot with a couple organizations on diversity and inclusivity. That's not only am I a barber and an educator, I'm also an activist. One of the things that I would love to see, that my hopes are, is that our African American students are not afraid of Caucasian clients. Our Caucasian students aren't afraid of African American clients, and not clients as people, but stop being afraid of the texture. So we need to be grounded in education. We need to seek out the things that we know where we're weak and we're not strong at. My hopes are that a lot of the companies and organizations that drive our industry also kind of take a look at that, and not because I'm on the PBA podcast, but I do want to give PBA a shout out because within my respective circle, we were talking about how this year's NAHA, we had so many people of color to win and to be nominated, and we had so many people of color to host and to give out awards. And my biggest hope is that a lot of the other organizations and companies out there, not because it looks good, but because it is good for our industry and for our companies to make that change. So definitely deep diving into diversity, inclusivity, making sure that the BIPOC community does get a seat at the table, whether it be opportunities to work for major manufacturers or just, having, people of color faces on magazines. I mean, the standards of beauty in the world, for a long time, it hadn't looked like me. It hadn't looked like a lot of my friends and people of color, whether you be, Hispanic, indigenous, we never were looked at like that. So my hopes, and I may not see it in this lifetime, but my hopes are that if we continue to do what's right, because it's not about who's right, it's about what's right, and really, really work hard on being diverse and inclusive, our industry is going to see so many amazing more NAHA winners, and so many amazing more Beacon students, and so many amazing more people of color that are leading our industry and really, really kind of doing the good work. So that's my hopes.
I love it. I have nothing. I have nothing else to say. I love it, but I do want to ask one fun question.
Yeah, 100%.
Totally.
Did I get too serious?
Totally. I'm I'm just taking it all in and ending. But what's your favorite decade for the look, the style, the aesthetic? If you could pick a decade, what is it for you?
Man, so I'm a 70s baby. But I think my favorite decade had to be the 90s, the 90s were super, super cool for me. It was, and I love fashion, a lot of my looks for NAHA, they're all built on fashion and music and what's trendy right now. But the 90s were so dope. Like, I'm using the vernacular now, super dope, fresh to death. Right. But the 90s was like, when I think about the 90s, I think about my parents who grew up in the 60s, in the 70s. It was freedom. It was dress how you feel, not necessarily what the standards were. The music was good. The vibe was always good. The hair was amazing. It was flat tops and steps with the flat tops. It was polo shirts with the
Yeah, the
collar
collar
up.
pops.
Right. You know what I'm saying? It was the cardigan sweater over the polos. It
Yes.
was khakis and docksides and Sebagos and Stan Smith Adidas. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just a real cool time to grow up. And of course, I graduated high school, and I don't want to hear nobody talking about how old I am, but I graduated high school in 1995, and man, we just had a real good time. That's back in the day before cell phones were like really
Right.
big a thing. So you had to go to your friend's house,
Yes.
and it just seemed like in the 90s, my kids right now, everybody talks and texts and snaps and all this other stuff, and that's fine. That's the way they communicate. But I think that the authenticity of communication was so important back in the 90s because, you know, if you did have a cell phone, it was your parents, and it was the bag phone that was as big as an engine,
We
and
had that in the car.
you had to gas it up and crank it like a lawnmower for you to get to the reception.
You took the lighter in the car and you had to like plug it into the
Battery used to
lighter.
die if you use it over 10 minutes. It was great, but yeah, the 90s was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It was a different world. It was, you know
Friends.
yeah, oh God, it was Friends. It was the Martin Show. And then now living in Detroit, where Martin was actually, that's where they were filming it. It's just really nostalgic for me to be in Detroit, Michigan, and, where Motown actually has its roots. And, for a lot of the listeners out there, if they don't know, like, Detroit, Michigan at one point was the hub for all. I mean, you're from Michigan, you know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the hair trends. Detroit was the hair mecca of the world, not just the country, of the world. Anytime you saw Smokey Robinson or a Barry, I mean, everybody was always, and they had the flyest haircuts. The flyest wigs. Diana Ross, the Supremes, and stuff like that. Yeah, just being able to kind of tap into those things, and the 1990s was just a dope year for me. And yeah, that's you can tell I'm kind of thinking about.
I love it. I know you're gonna have the 90s vibe the rest of the day.
Oh, for sure.
Now you're going to play the music in the school when kids are going to be like, what is this?
If I can find my longboard, my skateboard, I'll
We need a TikTok of that. Or
cut off some khakis. I'll cut off my khakis and fray the ends. Make sure I got a California cuff on my jeans.
I was going to say, I'll French roll my pants for you too.
I
French rolled.
Yeah.
I had double color socks. Yeah.
You had the tri sock. You had the red, the white, and then the green. But you had to have the Jodeci combat boots. Come on, to go with your cross colors outfit.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, I'm a 90s. I graduated in the 90s too. So
for sure.
Well, thank you. This has been so fun, delightful as always, and just really appreciate your time and sharing with us and sharing with listeners and those in the industry, just the words of advice and inspiration, because I always take a lot from that. That's what fills me is the inspiration from other people, and you're one of them that every time I talk to you, the rest of my day I know is going to be amazing because you poured so much into me, and I hope that others who listen to this feel that way too.
Yeah, well, you know what? I appreciate you and the Professional Beauty Association for all you guys have done, not just for my wife and I and what we've done, but for our industry. To whom much is given, much is expected. And I know that our PBA members, I said the PBA members.
You take ownership. That's good. That's all good.
That's my over persistence. But no, you guys are doing a wonderful body of work, and I hope that people continue to support it and be a part of it. I think it's pretty amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We'll see you soon. ISSE, June 25th and 26th, Long Beach, California.
Yes, yeah. My wife and I, she'll be sitting on a panel.
Yes.
She's going to be on the pigmented panel. So make sure to look out for that. And I will be teaching for Cloak and Dagger products. Larry Curtis, we're going to be showcasing the latest and greatest in techniques and how to actually build your business around the tell about products and not the sell.
Love it. Love it. Now I have to sit in that class too.
Absolutely. Come on through. We
All
want to
right.
invite everybody.
All right. Well, thank you so much. As always, it's great to see you and can't wait to see you again in person real soon.
You as well. Be blessed, sweetheart. Bye, guys.
Bye.